Okay.
Hi, Trina.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How was your day?
It was good. How was your day?
It was really good because I
Good.
didn't have to come to work. So
Oh, yeah.
So it was really nice. But before we go into the lesson and the observation, I just wanted to tell you, having been your supervisor 3 years ago and observed you, it was just wonderful to see your
awesome.
growth.
Good.
And I don't mean that negatively,
Yeah.
like you were doing poorly, but it's just experience
Yeah.
makes a huge difference,
Definitely.
doesn't it?
Yes, definitely.
What do you think you've learned the most in those 3 years about running a classroom?
Definitely classroom management and how to set other kids by some kids, and how classroom management just is so much about making sure you're building relationships with them, and then also knowing what they like and don't like, and just some big thing is
that was
classroom
my
management.
experience too. It was always relationships are so important.
Yes.
And then what I noticed when I was in here, the kids have learned their organized things that they need to know, what procedures.
Right.
Because even I watched, you were teaching away, and a little girl went up and got her tissue. And then she didn't mess around. She did it, blew her nose or whatever she was
Right.
doing, and went right back to her seat. But that was a big thing I noticed, and I'm really big into classroom management.
Yes.
I think it's the most important thing. If you don't have that, it doesn't work.
Right, yes, 'cause
it doesn't
that's-
work at all.
yes.
But anyway, I thought you did really well. How did you think the lesson went?
I think it went well. I felt good about it after.
Was it typical of your day?
Yeah, that's typical of my day. Usually we go over phonics lessons really quick first, and then we
Right.
go into the story. But since I knew you were coming and I was going to do the little lesson afterwards, I wanted the whole time to.
That's really good because we don't usually observe the phonic
Phonics,
part.
yeah.
Well, that Ashlock is what it used to be. I don't.
Right.
It's not Ashlock now. I
No.
know, but similar.
Yes.
But I just thought it went really well. But the kids, they were so focused, and the transition was good. And when I say transition, they were doing some kind of a color sheet or something because it was the beginning of the day.
morning work, yeah.
And then when you told them to put it away and to get to the next step, which was the reading lesson, they did it right away.
Yeah.
And I liked how you said, put your hands on your desk and fold your hands and look at me. And you waited if there was noise. I just thought you did great.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate
I loved it. Anyway, would you have done anything differently?
Through out the lesson or
Anything?
maybe I'd have more movement because they were just staying in their seats the whole time. So maybe
It's hard, though, for that lesson.
Right, it is hard for that lesson, but maybe more movement. Maybe I could try to figure out some things where I could have more movement, so they're just not always sitting down.
But it wasn't that long
Yeah, no, it wasn't.
because they had recess
Right
before
right
they could
after.
even finish the
right.
exit thing.
Yeah.
So no, I thought it went really well. I just it's made me happy. Somebody asked me, one of your teacher friends, it was Amber.
Oh,
Because she
yeah.
knew I was coming, and she said, "How'd it go?" I said, "It was great. It was just great." So
Oh,
she was really
awesome.
happy for you.
Thank you.
And what did you notice you needed to do your first year experience compared to this? Just the management part? Was that?
The big thing was the management, because I noticed my first year I thought I had the management down, and then obviously I didn't when my first year, and so I just noticed that when I clear management and good transitions are really good for the core learning and the core
Right.
stuff.
You seem very confident and comfortable with them, and the kids were responsive immediately. Yeah, so that was great. Is it the group, or do you think it's the skills that they've learned with you?
I think it's all of it, the specific group of kids, and then the skills that I've learned, and just how I interact with them and
Well,
learn.
they even knew when you went through the rules. I don't know how frequently you do that, but they knew it. I mean, it's just automatic, and they
Yeah.
could repeat it right away, and they knew exactly what was going on.
Yeah, I do that every morning, so we can have
And I noticed that you could just somebody you took something away from. I don't know what it was, but you didn't. It was just quietly done and taken. And the other thing I really thought was neat is that they clapped for each other.
Yeah.
Because I used to do that in my 6th grade down there.
Oh,
Whenever
yeah.
anybody did something, the kids would all be with each other.
Yeah.
So it was really neat. Anyway, I thought it was great.
Well, thank you.
Yes. Any more comments about your lesson? Are you going to do anything differently, or did they do okay on their exit?
No, all of them did really well on their exit. There was just a few students who I figured kind of struggled with the exit, but
But there's always some.
yes. No, I think the lesson went how I wanted it to go, and
Yeah, well, I think also during the teaching of the lesson, the chronological thing, you reiterated quite often.
yes,
So-
that's a long word.
and by making them repeat and repeat, that's really what you have to do.
Yes.
And I thought it was a perfect topic to be able to talk more about the unfairness and
Yeah.
the way things used to be, because these are little guys and they're
Right.
not going to get the whole picture.
Exactly. You're right.
But there's a wonderful movie out about
Oh,
Jackie
really?
Robinson.
Oh, maybe if
Oh,
it's
so-
appropriate, maybe we could.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
It's great. Okay, this is the format.
Okay.
Where do I put it? Oh, this is your lesson. Did I bring it? I didn't bring it. But I had it right with me.
I could maybe get it up on the computer, maybe.
Well, the lesson plan goes over every single area. I mean, the observation form goes over every single area, and in order to pass it, you need to be proficient. And every single area you were proficient in, and the planning of the lesson was great.
Okay, awesome.
And that was different than you had been used to, so you had to do
Right.
more for that. And I know you don't do that now because no teacher does.
Yes.
Just doesn't happen. And so it's the planning, the strategies that you use with the kids, they had different things to do, but I like that they were courteous to each other, and because they're not always.
No.
And the assessment was well done, and that was done after recess, I
Yes.
know, but you said that they did well on that. And the developmental stages you had in your lesson plan broken down into different needs of certain kids.
Yes.
And you knew what you're doing there, which every teacher also knows too.
Mhm. Yeah.
But that's how it breaks down. I can't believe I am right.
That's okay.
I just went over it though.
That's okay.
Anyway, excellent. So they don't give you a slot for excellent. They just want
Right.
to be proficient.
Yeah.
So that was all. And let me see if there's anything else you need. What grade level will you teach next year?
First grade.
First grade?
Staying here. Yeah.
And when you taught first wasn't it last year
Yeah.
you taught first? Were any of those kindergartners in your class that you had the first year of teaching?
Yeah. Last year they were. Yeah.
How many?
Like 5, I think 5 or 6.
So a few of them.
Yeah, not all.
Because
of
I've
them.
done that before when I taught a 5th grade here, and then I went to 6th, and it was so neat because it was the whole class, and they already knew me, so we didn't have to go through the training.
Right, and the building relationship.
Yeah, they knew.
Yeah,
They knew.
right.
So that was good. But anyway, I thought went well. Very proud of you, and
Well, thank
I think
you.
you'll be very successful.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Put it on. You did the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 thing where kids got quiet and focused, but they did it. You went over the noise chart, the level of noise, and
Right.
they're very familiar with that. You went over the rules, and they repeated them. And you were very expressive too. And then they did their hands folded, eyes to me, and you stated the objective, which I think is very important to start a lesson, and to end a lesson is also very important
Yes.
to do that. You had an anchor chart as part of your instructional strategy. Excuse me, I had never heard of the word anchor chart.
Oh, me either.
I always did it, but I didn't know how to name.
Yeah.
The student, there was this, as the students were answering, somebody talked, and you just did shh quietly, and they stopped. You were speaking quietly to a child. You said, thank you for sitting in your seat. Thank you for not interrupting me. And they didn't. They were really, really amazingly responsive.
Good.
Vocabulary words you repeated. I will read, and they repeated it. And they did their thumbs up. Okay, let's see. They raised their hands. They underlined key details. I think that's really important, and they each have a workbook for that, right?
Yes.
Okay. Then they did the page, and all students clapped. That's what I said earlier.
Right.
I really like that.
Yeah.
And they raised their hands. They were not blurting. Blurting is so common, and it's hard to
Yes.
stop.
It is hard to get it
Yeah.
to stop.
And they did the clapping, like I said. You walked around to see what they were doing and if they were underlining, and you waited until they were quiet. That's the big thing of first-year teachers. They don't wait.
Right. Yeah.
They get louder and louder, and
Yes.
it doesn't work. But you did. You
Yes.
did the right thing.
Thank you.
And then you had them follow with their finger as you read, and you corrected a student who shouted, and you quietly talked to students. You have a very low, calm effect on kids,
Oh,
so that's
good.
really nice. You took something from the student, but you did it quietly. It was no big deal. I mean, that's when you get problems, when you make big deals
Right.
of things.
Yes.
Okay, like I said, they went and got tissues, so they knew the procedures without taking advantage. Okay, and he was a rookie. Okay, great. I thought you had great expression and enthusiasm, and you were very aware of what each kid was doing. okay, and hands on top of their head to get ready for recess. You explained the assessment, and had they close their books, put them in the desk, and they were ready for recess, and you called them by name to get in line. And some kids couldn't. And I also noticed that you had a lot of interruptions with adults coming in, students coming in, older
Right.
students, but you handled that really well too. It did not disrupt the
Good.
class, so
Yeah.
that was good.
Good.
So anyway, great job.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm so